Good morning, good evening, good night, and anywhere you're from. I have tried to do this video 5 times. It will not process, it will not upload. So I have to watch very close how I articulate what I'm saying. I have to, and you know why, but I have to say allegedly. So I'm just going to say from the get-go, allegedly. Even though those who resonate with the truth already know what it is. This is the 5th time I tried to record this, and there's going to be a part 2, possibly a part 3. Missing people, abductions, people that have no footprints, no fingerprints. They said goodnight to their mom and dad, and all of a sudden, boom. Forensic experts researching the case, not a trace of any evidence of how they just disappeared. Now, I spoke in my last video about the Delta T antenna. Delta T antenna is an invention by Nikola Tesla. To break it down in a very simple and fast way, it's a pyramid on the top of coils twined in specific frequencies, and another pyramid on the bottom matching the dielectric magnetic frequencies to the electromagnetic frequencies. And I'm not the scientist, I'm not the astrophysicist, I'm just telling you that what Nikola Tesla invented a century ago, okay, this is technology that's 100 years old, is an antenna that opens up portals in time. I'm going to start this video with a situation and an experience, because we don't do stories here. I'm not fake, I'm not here to lie, I'm not here to tell stories, I'm not here to sell you guys bullshit. I'm here to actually speak on real situations that a lot of people in this environment can vouch for and have had very similar experiences, and some aren't lucky enough to have returned and actually share their experience. So, keeping it light in part 1, because I'm going to make sure that this uploads properly before I start part 2. Delta T antennas were created to open up a portal in time. It's almost like anti-gravity, the way it was created scientifically by Tesla. But as you know, Tesla's inventions were raided, abused, and misused. Think about the Philadelphia experiment and the Eldridge, the U.S. Eldridge. There was a Delta T antenna on that ship. That ship, even though people want to believe that it was Einstein's electromagnetic field that made it disappear, it was a Delta T antenna meant to make it like project, teleport from place to place without any radar sensing it. And with teleportation, there's invisibility. Now, this is already happening now, but in the 1930s, this is a century ago. So, my great-grandfather was alive in 1917. He joined the military at 16 years old because he was in an orphanage, and what do you know? He had silver stars, purple stars, um, was a very honorable and high-ranked, his position in the military. I don't want to give too much information and names because it's bad enough that I'm already being um, watched to the point that I can't even upload a video. So I'm trying to make this a light so it uploads, and then I'll hit you with part 2. Don't let the hat fool you. Don't let the hood fool you. Don't let my accent fool you. I was born in Brookhaven Hospital, up for adoption. I'm not going to get into my story right now, but I'm not going to get into my life experience right now and explain to you what I've been through and why it happened, how it happened, and how it's still happening, and how this has a lot to do with people disappearing. But I will start on a short, light example for you. During the time me and my wife were dropping off my sister-in-law to a doctor's appointment, and we passed through West Hampton military base on Spionk Riverhead Road, and after we dropped her off, we had to wait, so we decided to go to the North Shore and go to a restaurant, take some time, go out and eat. And we passed Grumman Airport. Now, Grumman Airport is known widely in New York, not only for appearances of UFOs, not only for anomalies and very strange things, but it's known mostly for disappearances. People's cars just on the side of the road, keys still in the ignition, no footprints, no traces whatsoever of how they disappeared. And this is widely known. It's not spoken about in the media. And these people claiming to be Montauk boys and don't even know about Grumman, don't even know about Kings Park Insane Asylum. They call it that, but it's, I have to say allegedly, it's really a place, allegedly, for the victims and the abductees and the people that know too much, and that's the rest of their life. That's look up Kings Park Abandoned Psychiatric Center. It's not just a building, it's a city. It's a huge town full of huge buildings. If you look at them and wonder, why don't they take these buildings down? This is so much land. It's because of the technology. I've been on the roofs of Kings Park. I've been on the roofs and taken pictures of Delta T antennas at Kings Park. I'll get into this in another video, but I actually met someone who has a grandmother. And when she passed, she had a lot of property, a lot of possessions from when she worked at Kings Park, and I got my hands on a master key. I'll explain that in a different video, but I have to explain to you the technology that these Delta T antennas are on buildings, even schools, elementary schools. They're everywhere. Now, even though this technology is 100 years old and they've already reinvented much more advanced technology, this is what they used in the 1930s. This is what they used when the Germans came to Long Island. I have to say allegedly because I want to make sure this video uploads. But those of you who lived in Yaphank and your ancestors lived in Yaphank, and you could just walk through Yaphank today and see the communities that have the propaganda, have the street names in German, and for a very long time, it wasn't until the late 90s or early 2000s is when they removed a street named Adolph Road. There were, I have to say allegedly, but those who have lived here, those who have grandparents and great grandparents who lived here, you know because they've been sending in the mail for years. They just stopped recently sending in the mail for years for KKK rallies, and it was no it was no secret. But back then, Yaphank was a German neighborhood. I'm not going to say the N word. Not that N word. A different N word. So let me continue. Here's a short story that I'm going to give you with on part one, because it involves somebody else that is so close-minded, does not believe in ghosts, does not believe in anything. A person that is so right-brain oriented, what they see is what they believe. My ex-wife is somebody who, if she doesn't see it, it doesn't exist, and she forces herself to. I'll get into how this affected her. On Grumman Road, the road I talked about, where cars would just show up with keys in the ignition and absolutely no traces of how people went missing. There's other amazing stories, but experiences and situations, but I'm just going to explain my experience and situation and my wife's experience and situation that we had together at the same time. We drive down Grumman Road. The radio's on. Oh man, this was a long time ago. This was during the time, I think Drake just came out. And, what was that song? I don't know. Something about, Best I Ever Had. That's all I know. All of a sudden, that song started skipping, like if a CD was in the radio, and all of a sudden, a warp. When I say a warp, I'm talking about we felt like the weirdest, unexplainable energy that completely just warped us, warped our minds, just warped us. We felt like lightless, and we were moving at such a high speed. We weren't even aware of it. But on Grumman Road, we teleported to Sunken Meadow, Indian Head Road. If you don't know Long Island, these are roads surrounding Kings Park. So that makes perfect sense. From one military yard with with this technology of the Delta T antenna to another city of that background and era with the Delta T antennas. Trust me, we were getting teleported like this. We're in Kings Park. We're in Montauk. We're in Jamaica, Queens. We're in Brookhaven. We're back in Kings Park. And it was like so fast. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And during the time, because this was happening so fast, but we were reading the street signs. And you already know, wait a minute, that's an hour and a half away. How did we get here? And it was so real. So real. Well, it is real. But I'm saying when you've never experienced something like that, sometimes you question yourself and think, was this something that just happened in my mind? Now let me tell you, she was pregnant. She was not using any drugs. I got clean. I was not using any drugs. This had nothing to do with any kind of side effect or trust me, this was as genuine as it gets. This went on for a while, and the radio was making these frequencies. It wasn't static, it was like a wah-wah, like wah-wah. I don't know how to, I'm not going to go there and make sound effects, but it was like a humming of different frequencies. And it was very trance-like, like during these frequencies, I wasn't able to turn my head and say to my wife, "Do you see this? Do you?" But all of a sudden, we teleport back on Grumman Road, and my wife at the time, she pulls over, and she's shaking, trembling hard. I had to hold her wrists. And before I could say it, I was about to say, "Did you just see that? We were all the way in Nassau County. We were all the way in Kings Park. We were even in Queens. Then we were in Montauk." Before I could say that with all my excitement, she said, "How did that just happen?" It was so real to her. Now, me, being a pioneer, and literally, I spent more than half my life researching this. I've researched Kings Parks so many years that I could go there blindfolded, know the tunnels, I know everything about the place. That's for another video, because that's very important with what I'm going to be speaking about. These are little dirty secrets of Long Island and allegedly history that was taken out or very classified about World War II. But I don't want to say too much because I really want this video to get uploaded. This is my third time recording, so before I spend an hour of my time to get deep into it, this is going to be a part 1. So this is something that I was glad, because this always happened to me. And finally having the validation that somebody else experienced this with me made me happy, because it kind of proved to me, no, this is real. This is real. And I already knew about the Delta T antennas, but after that experience, this was back in 2010, I connected the dots. Because we went from major underground places. Don't let a label, Kings Park Insane Asylum, fool you. Look that up online. Kings Park Insane Asylum. It's an abandoned city. I already mentioned all the buildings and all the technology. You should obviously know about Camp Hero, but if not, look up Camp Hero. Same technology. Um, there's a building complex in Jamaica, Queens that has the same buildings of Kings Park with the same technology on the buildings. It's right by Sutpin Boulevard and Jamaica train station, and I'm going to get into that and tell you why there would be a facility there. And it has to do with the Manhattan Project and the Philadelphia Project and the train lines and the underground train lines. You see, when the Philadelphia experiment happened and they started to learn more and more about time travel with the U.S. Eldridge, and they learned from their mistakes. Brookhaven Lab, I have to say allegedly, because I want this video to be uploaded. And, mind you, the N-word here on, or I could simply say a lot of German scientists, were the whole inspiration of the Manhattan Project. Now, I'm going to get into part 2, more about the Montauk Project and how this Delta T antenna is used and how effective it is. But I wanted to give you a short example first before I get deep into this. Plus, I want to make sure this uploads before I go deep, before I really make a video that will give you more proofs and truths and everything that you're let me tell you something. There's so many fake people using this as an outlet to just tell stories that sell. It bothers me, because what I've been through and what I've experienced and the people I know that experience similar, for them, the people that are speaking on this super soldier and all this hogwash that makes the truth distorted. This is why so many people will say, oh, that's ridiculous, because of all the people that are using this as an outlet to give a story. There's a difference between a story and a situation and an experience. And you got to see some of these people and what they say. If you listen to them, you would think the same. Who in their right mind would even accept any truth or comprehend any truth if there's people out there that are just using this topic as an outlet to market and sell, and they claim to be Montauk boys, but don't even know their number, don't even know the building numbers at Camp Hero, I don't want to say too much because I really want this video to upload, but let me end on this note. I'm a real, genuine person. I do not lie. Okay, that was a lie because we all lie. Sometimes you have to. I'd lie to save my family. I'd lie to save someone's life, but let me keep it real. As fake as the internet is these days, as fake as media is these days, and as disgusted as I am in it, I have no reason to come here and to lie and feed you stories. First of all, I respect myself too much to do that. And second of all, I'm so passionate about all of the decades of research. Well, 2 decades of very, very, very concentrated, disciplined, and extended research on all of these facilities and technology. And it's just so much that I have to, little by little, give a little bit of information. So this video is mostly about disappearances and abductions, but I just gave you a story about my experience and my wife's experience and what we experienced together. And at that point, I knew back then in 2011, 2010, during the time, that, okay, good, at least it's not me. There was a point that I thought that it only worked on certain people, but if it worked on my ex, my wife at the time, that, my goodness, she is so right brain oriented. She won't. You could prove her. You can. I'll tell you one thing. If Osiris just came from the dead, rose from the dead, and came up to her and said, "Good morning, young lady, I'm Osiris," and gave her all the proof, she would still deny it. I know that was a horrible example, but if somebody that close-minded and right-brain oriented can experience that and be traumatized by it, that made me understand, wow, no wonder why how many cars were found on this road with the key still in the ignition, and nobody, forensic experts, and nobody could figure out why. I'm going to get into a deeper story. Wait, let's not use that word here. A deeper situation and experience, giving you more truths and more proofs in part 2. Part 1, this is testing my equipment and my technology. This is testing everything, making sure my video uploads. When all is well, I will be happy because this is my 5th attempt. And I will give you part 2 and part 3 because this is a topic that needs some time to speak about. So, thank you for listening. Again, can't stress this enough. The truth only applies to those that are ready to accept it and those that are able to comprehend and understand it. If you don't comprehend and understand it and can't accept it, don't watch these videos. Don't waste your time and energy commenting or you know what? Go ahead, watch my videos, bash me, comment me. I don't really care. Nobody's going to tell me what happened and what didn't happen in my life. And I have more videos that I'm going to put out there that will prove to you a lot about me and will make you think twice about me being another one of those frauds just coming on here to use this as a platform to tell stories. No. So, be safe, everybody. Have a good night, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, wherever you're from. And I'm done. Part 2 coming soon after the upload.